All right, in this video I'm going to cover a little bit about leash desensitization, what it is, why we do it, and collar and equipment desensitizing. I'm going to also show a quick example of some different things that I like to do with the puppy. I'll demonstrate with a little bit older dog, but still will kind of show, I'll explain the importance and how we do it. So the first thing that we want to make sure of is getting equipment on is positive for our puppy. So when I first take a collar or a harness, I like to take it and put it on and feed the dog immediately or play with the dog immediately. So collar goes on, good experience. Collar goes on, good experience follows. Over and over and over again. Okay, this is one of the first things that I can start doing with my puppy over their kibble time. And I like to take it on, feed, 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 take it off. Put it on, feed, 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 take it off. Same thing, put it on, play, 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 take it off. That way, that piece of equipment predicts a positive experience before I try to expose it to anything else. I think a lot of times puppy owners want to rush everything. So they put the equipment on and they rush their dog out to do this, that, and the other. Now, of course, we may have to put a leash on our puppy pretty early on. But I love to take and put a collar on my puppy and let him drag it around the house, drag a leash around the house. Okay, I like to put a harness on the puppy, hook a leash to it, let them drag that around the house as I've started to create these positive experiences. A lot of people go, oh, well, they're going to trip over it and they're going to, right? But dogs are going to trip over leashes sometimes. Okay, you're going to have to leash your dog. So the less your dog focuses on it or thinks about it, that's really important. So one of the ways I like to keep my dog from focusing on the leash by doing this early on is I'll put it on when I'm going to go explore something exciting, or once again play with them or feed them or scatter some food about. These are different things that I can do that are going to create a really hopefully positive experience for my puppy and keep my puppy from being hyper focused on playing with the leash. If I put it on when the puppy's bored and there's nothing going on, of course they're likely to pick up the leash. However, if they're excited to sniff and explore and check something out, maybe an exciting field or somewhere like our yard, if I'm playing with them with a toy, what they're going to start to learn is that focusing on the toy is a lot more fun than the leash. Okay, and they're slowly going to get desensitized to wearing it. And I know this goes against a lot of what I think people think is common sense, but it's just really important we go ahead and get our dogs used to having equipment on. And at first, it really not meaning anything other than we're going to go do some really cool stuff. All right, this is going to keep my dog from having negative associations to the equipment, as well as being tolerant of me putting it on, and also desensitize them to focusing on the equipment. So many people only put a leash on when they will need to take their dog somewhere at first, or take their dog to do things that could be somewhat stressful, new, things like that. And then the puppy is either going to express its stress onto its leash, or it's going to be bored and the leash is going to be super exciting. So there's some simple things we can do very, very early on to help prevent those things, and they may still happen. That's the way dog training works sometimes. But by doing those kind of things, it's really important. Also, I want to create a positive association to me putting on the leash. So I'm going to flick the sound. If I had a leash next to me, if you think of the little buckle and I flick it and it goes click, 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 right? I'm going to feed right after that sound. Click, feed, click, feed, click, feed, just like a clicker or just like a marker word. Because I want my dog going, oh, I love to hear the sound of the leash. I love to see the sight of the leash. It means good things. Okay. I don't necessarily want to make the dog like crazy excited, which sometimes happens when we only use the leash when we go for a walk. So these are the people like, my dog goes nuts every time I get out the leash, and it's like haywire, and I can't even, and like he's running, bouncing all over the place, and I can't even put on the leash. No, set yourself up for success. So I pull out the leash, and then I feed you. And I pull out the leash, and I feed you. And I do it over and over again, where it's not, doesn't necessarily have to mean that we're gonna go do this super exciting thing, but that exciting things are gonna come from me. Okay, or at least positive things are going to come from me. So that's the first section of this video. I'm going to go ahead and show some different desensitization exercises that I do with the dog and show those in just a minute. All right, so you'll have to excuse my grooming table in the back here, but I'm going to do a demonstration with one of my dogs on how I start to introduce Arlo, here. Good boy. I start to introduce things like the collar. Good boy. Now he's anticipating another trick. Yes. Good job. So there's nothing really wrong with what he did because the body language I used is very similar to another trick that we teach. Really have no problem that he offered that. Okay, and he's very, very excited to do this right now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and reward that. He has a martingale collar on. I'm just going to show this real quick. All right, buddy, ready? Good. So I'm not going to have, I can have food in my hand when I first start, but I prefer not to. I've already taught my marker word or clicker. So I'm going to take my collar. I'm going to approach the puppy. I'm going to go put it around their neck. Yes. And then I'm going to take it back off after I say yes. So collar touches them, wraps around them. We mark yes. I'm going to do this again. You ready, buddy? Sit. And put your collar on. Yes. Okay. If I do this right with enough repetition, my dog's going to start to anticipate good things when the collar goes on instead of fighting me. I can also use certain behaviors like place or sit to help my dog stabilize. Right? Yes! You can see him looking up and anticipating that reward before I even said yes. Okay? Now this is a dog, believe it or not, that a lot of the puppies in his litter, including him at a very early age, got very growly and snappy when you try to put a collar on. In fact, I've talked to a couple of those people who adopted his litter mates, and they're like, oh my gosh, my dog gets really nasty when we put equipment on. We saw this very early with him around 10 weeks, and we said, hey, let's address this before it becomes a problem. So for him, this was really important to do, okay? Well, with most of our puppies, it's just about building confidence about getting equipment on and cooperation. Hey, Arlo, you ready? Want to put your collar on? Yes, good job. Okay, I'm going to slowly start progressing to actually clipping the collar and leaving it on, feed, and taking it off. Okay, so we'll show that in just a second. All right, you ready, buddy? Here. Good, sit. Good. Put your collar on. Clip. Good. I use good as a duration, like so, like the food's going to keep coming. Notice I say my word before I deliver the food. Good. 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 Take your collar off. Yes! Okay, you can see that little moment of excitement when I go to unclip the collar. Okay? Good dog. All right, I'm going to show another little trick here. So I like to introduce different kinds of equipment very early on. You can use a harness. When I use a harness, I lay it down on the floor. I set some kibble down so that the puppy steps into the harness. While they're eating the kibble, I adjust their feet in. And same thing, put it up and then say yes and feed some more. Then we take it back off, we do it again. We do these little reps throughout the day. It's very easy for me to get enough repetition that my dog starts to become much more cooperative about getting their equipment on. I'm going to show this with a little bit of a hand game. Okay, Arlo. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to hold out my hand like there's a treat in it. I can teach touch. We can cover that later. But if my puppy's anticipating cookie in my hand, right? Or if I teach touch, and if I say touch with him, it means something different, so I'm not going to use that word with him. The same thing. I've got a slip lead here, which is basically a little noose. Okay, so I'm going to take my noose. I'm going to hold it in front of the puppy. If I need to, at first, I'm going to lure the puppy into the noose. Yes. I'm going to let the puppy back out. Good. This is not a trap. If I try to cinch this down right away, I might freak out the puppy. So take it in small steps. Puppy comes through the loop, yes. Puppy comes out, okay? When the puppy accepts this, I might like to tell him, get your head in, yes. I let him come back out. So I can name that, or I'm gonna put your leash on, right? Whatever it is, pick a word and then do it. Tell the dog what's coming. It's way less frustrating if you know something's gonna happen than somebody trying to trick you into it. I do not like lying to dogs, and I do not like deceiving dogs. I would rather, even if they're not going to fully enjoy it, I tell my dogs, I'm going to clip your nails. Okay? All right. You ready, buddy? Get your leash on. Good. Now, my puppy's accepting of that. I'm going to keep that leash on. I'm going to let it cinch down just a little bit. Good boy, good boy, good boy. I'm going to take it off. Reach. Yes. Okay. Now there you can see like he becomes hyper aware. If you have a dog like him as a puppy, That reach for him could have caused a growl or a snap. So it was really important he had a positive experience. So right when I think the dog might not be sure, I'm going to mark it. So it's like, oh, hey, this really means good things. And of course, he's excited. Okay, you ready? Get your leash on. Good, good, good. Boom. I'm going to progress. Now, there's the collar grab, feed, feed, feed. And then I let him take it off. Yes. Good. Okay. Oh, boy, this is fun. Okay. Let me show this again. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to show, he's ready to do all kinds of things. He loves these cookies. Okay. So now I'm going to show another step with this. This is another way I want my puppy to learn to trust me grabbing their collar. In the past, something like 80% of dog bites in a professional capacity happened because somebody grabbed a dog's collar, or the dog had a negative association to collars being grabbed. I want my dog to trust me grabbing their collar. So the same thing, I'm going to start to elongate and press this further. Now, if you're doing this at home with your puppy, do this for 2 minutes. Only take one step at a time and only progress if your dog's doing really well. Okay? All right, you ready? We're going to get your collar on. You can see he's not avoidant. Good boy. All right, now grab your collar. Yes! Now at first, I'd probably just grab it, immediately feed. Now if your puppy is wiggling around, acting silly, feed as quickly as possible, but if your puppy's getting really resistant, I just kind of calmly keep my hand there till the puppy relaxes, and then I start feeding them. Okay? If you're struggling with this behavior at all, this is a great time to seek professional help. All right, ready? Grab your collar. Yes, you can see, I mean, he stares me in the face like, oh, I know, it's coming, it's coming. It's not this negative thing. Ready? And grab your collar. Now notice I'm going to grab, and I'm actually going to like put a little bit of tension against it. Yes. Okay. Now with a puppy, I might feed the whole time my hand's on that collar. Him, he's 9 years old. This is something we did way back, and he's like, man, why are we doing the easy stuff again? So here, grab the collar, feed, 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 release. Okay. Good job, buddy. He's like, why'd you stop feeding me, man? Okay, so these are just little exercises that can help my puppy get used to equipment. Once again, I've got a leash on. This is not my favorite type of leash. It's just the kind that was right there ready to go when I went to work him. It's the same thing here, showing that leash clip sound. Feed. Feed. Because your dog will hear that sound a lot where it could be associated to the end of fun. Like, oh, my dog was running around playing, now I need to catch him and put him on leash. I don't put my dog on leash because they were bad. I take off the leash because they were good, okay? But I want the dog to think the leash isn't something that means bad dog, good dog. It's just part of life, okay? Notice I'm now moving it towards him. Now I can click or say yes here, but this sound is going to do it just the same for me. Good. Okay, now I'm going to start combining the exercise. So I'm going to go ahead, reach for the collar. Good boy. Good boy. I've got a grip on it. There's a little bit of tension as I go to hook it. Yes! Clip on the leash, and I mark. Okay? You're going to see I'm not creating a lot of wiggliness. Okay? One of the ways I did that was using a cot. This is the last exercise I'll show on this video. I take my cot. My dog has already learned that getting on the cot's good. Place. Good. Take off that leash. Yes! If every time I go to clip my dog's equipment on, I take them to the same spot and I reward them for getting on, my dog is going to start associating getting on that object. Good. Getting the leash on. And now I got food in my hand, buddy. Yes! Good dog. Same thing, now collar comes off. There's no way I can even catch him. He's a wild man. Same thing, our little place. Good dog. Let's put your collar on. Good job, buddy. Good boy. I'm gonna put your leash on. Good. Now, do I have to do all this with him these days? No, I don't. Yes. Okay. So he just starts learning. This is a process. I don't have to chase my dog around to get a leash on him. Okay. I call him to me. Good things happen, and we get the leash on and good things happen. With the collar on and good things happen. We get on the mat, good things happen. All right? So that's just a quick demonstration of some different things that I can do to desensitize putting on equipment for a young puppy. Of course, once again, older dog, he knows what he's doing.